Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the MC65 podcast, where we explore the latest innovations across Microsoft 365, Azure, AI, Power Platform, security, and everything shaping the future of modern work. Today, I'm excited to welcome Chris Hinch from Microsoft. Has spending years helping organizations designing secure and modernizing IT environments, from networking and cloud infrastructure to Azure, Kubernetes, disaster recovery, and enterprise security. Today, his focus is helping organizations unlock the future potential of Microsoft Copilot by driving successful adoption and ensuring users actually benefit from AI in their daily work. In this episode, we go beyond the product announcement and marketing headlines to explore what makes Microsoft Copilot successful in the real organizations. We'll discuss user adoption, licensing, governance, change management, productivity, new futures, and where Microsoft AI is heading next. Whenever you are an IT professional, Microsoft partner, business leader, or simply curious about the future of work, this conversation is packed with practical insights. So, welcome, Chris, to the show.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Can you tell us before we start a little bit about you, how you start your technology career, and how you end up on at Microsoft?
Yeah, sure. So, I started out working help desks and just kind of worked my way up, and then I found myself climbing that ladder pretty quickly. We're going way back. So, I built data centers, built, a bunch of different server actually for several companies. I built some data centers for them. Namely, I was working with one of the Blue Cross Blue Shields, and I helped stand up their Medicare data center. So pulling all the cabling for that. Again, that's going way back. But then I live in the States, and when Office 365 came out, I was working at uh, basically an IT kind of shop where we help a bunch of different customers, and I did a handful of the first O365 migrations in the state that I live in. So that was it's kind of where I got into the cloud world. Then I worked some other companies. I ended up being a CTO at an Azure and 365 partner. And then from there, I went to another company and I ran their Microsoft practice. And Microsoft for them was all of 365. So Teams Voice, SharePoint, Intune, Defender, all that stuff, as well as the Azure side of the world. Then I went to another company, which is where I got my Microsoft MVP, and I
Mhm.
built their Microsoft practice up as well. And so we were doing uh, anything and everything Microsoft there. If you put the Microsoft tag on it, we did it. And once I got the MVP kind of badge, I guess you could say, um, I started doing a lot of speaking engagements and a lot of trainings and that. And then I saw a position at Microsoft that I thought was going to be a good fit, and I applied and I got it.
Yeah, awesome. So, wh- how is it to work at Microsoft today?
How is it to work? It's So I have a great team. The team that I'm on, so I'm a cloud solutions architect, and our role is to ensure customers use what they purchase, because inside the bundle sets of licensing, there's lots of different features and functionalities, and so we educate them on what's all there, and we help them utilize them. Because why have all these products at your disposal if you're not going to use them? Now I understand that you might have you know, uh, two or three different kind of applications that do the same thing, but it's more to help them try to eliminate shelfware with what they have inside their licensing. And specifically, right now, I'm doing anything and everything around Copilot. That's Copilot chat, that's agents, that's co-work, it's governance, it's whatever you want to put underneath that Copilot umbrella.
Yeah, you have worked across networking, infrastructure, cloud, security, and now
Yeah.
AI. How did this evolution happen?
So when Copilot came out, I had a friend that was at Microsoft. I was on the partner side of things then, and I had a friend at Microsoft, and we were both kind of enamored by the marketing where it wasn't even out yet. It was just the announcements, right? You couldn't do anything. You had uh, he being at Microsoft, he had a little bit of access to it, but it was still very early on, and only people that were in the the EAP, the early access program, truly had anything that they could actually try in here. So we were just looking at all the videos and the marketing ware, and we both thought like, this is cool. This is where everything's going. Again, he was at Microsoft, I was at the partner side of things, and we just started diving into what was available, and it really fascinated me. And so ever since just the marketing stuff happened, I got uh, really intrigued, and so I just kind of dove headfirst in. And every time there's announcements, I try them out. Now that I'm here, whenever there's internal announcements, I try them out. So it's a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah. Um, if you talk to organizations, what misconceptions do they have still about Microsoft Copilot?
Oh, I mean, it's the biggest one. They think it's a magic bullet. They think it's just going to solve everything. I mean, it's not just necessarily Copilot, but they think AI it's a magic bullet, and they're going to use AI for AI's sake. And that's where I find most companies fail. If you don't have a goal, and you can just take AI out of it, right? You can just put any tool. You buy a tool because it's cool, so to speak, and you're trying to use it, and then you just put it out there and anticipate or expect the users to learn it themselves. Like, put it in this example, you're not going to go and purchase and configure a new CRM or new ERP application and just say, okay, go use it, right? You're going to give them proper training in how to do it. But a lot of organizations, they don't see that from any kind of AI. They're like, oh, it's AI, they can figure it out. But then they don't understand that they're actually wasting time instead of saving time, because they're not giving people the proper training or even guidance on what you're allowed to do with a company slated AI. And so, and I mean, I'm going to dovetail here a little bit. When we talk to companies that don't know what they're wanting to do, we always say create a policy, even if it's on paper, because if it's on paper, then you have something to point back to. That if they use, name your AI here, and they're not supposed to, and then communication goes where it's not supposed to as well, then you have something to point back to. But if you never tell them, they're just going to do whatever they want.
And there's, I think, a lot of products or functions Copilot. So and Microsoft drops a lot of
Oh yeah.
it's feeling every 3 day new features. How did you can not overwhelmed with all this information? How did you handle this?
So before I started working here, I kept up with every single blog. So I made sure that I had the first thing that I would do in the morning is I would look at all the blogs that came out from the previous day. Some days, especially if it was after a major conference or a major announcements, like the ones after Build and ones after Ignite, like those take a little bit longer. And even when they started doing the wave releases, like the spring wave release and the fall wave release, those were a little bit more intense. But just trying to stay up on it in the mornings when I'm drinking my coffee, I would just say, what did they release yesterday? Because
Mm,
at that point, it wasn't my day job, right? I was helping companies do everything across the Microsoft on the partner side. So it was more making sure that I uh, was at least aware of what was coming out. And I mean, you can see it all in the roadmap too. So it's not like it's hush hush. We put it out there on the roadmap, so you can look at, just open up any kind of search engine and say, M365 Copilot roadmap, so you can look at what's coming. And so I just kind of kept my eyes on those things and just learned about them. And then being in the MVP community too, that helped tremendously, because we got a little bit of the information beforehand, because we were able to get into some of the product group conversations. Like, they would bring product marketing or product group people into our monthly, they call them PG meetings, product
mm,
group meetings. So we would get information there as well.
mm. Awesome. So I like to talk a little bit about adaption. What separates successful Copilot deployments from unsuccessful ones? What's your experience here?
Kind of what I was just alluding to. Like, if an organization needs to have an AI plan. Again, don't just do it for AI's sake. because you're going to fail, and you're going to have some people that use it, but most people are going to be like, oh, this is just another thing that they bought. It's another trending thing. I'm going to continue doing work like I work. Organizations need to figure out how to put it in each user's flow of work on, however they move throughout the day. How can it help them? And they need to look at it department by department instead of first they need their org vision, and then they need to look at it department by department to see how the tools are going to help them. Going back to the CRM example, marketing is going to use CRM completely different than sales, completely different in operations. So everybody's going to use tools slightly different. And so you need to figure out, talk with the leaders in each department, figuring out what are some pain points, because AI is fantastic about solving pain points. So you need to identify first what I always suggest, and this helps get the ball rolling, so to speak, where you find low-hanging fruit. What's some pain points? And it can be, hey, if we eliminate this pain point, it will save me 5 minutes a day. Okay, that's great. Well, there's normally 5 days in the week. So this one thing will save us approximately, I'm going to round up, approximately 30 minutes. It's a start, right? And how many people? So we'll say, we'll pick on sales again. Sales is 20 people. All right. So 30 minutes, 20 people, you just save 10 hours. So now you're starting to get a trickle into the ROI, but that's just to get people bought in. And then you start really solving some of the more complex problems. And so if you take this very methodical approach where you have this challenge or this pain point and you're trying to eliminate it, and you're giving the users the proper training on how to use it. And when you say, Chris, AI is easy just to use, you can just put in a question. Yeah, but are you formulating the question in a way that's going to get you to your answer quicker? Because if you're just putting a question in and then answering or asking another question and then asking another question, and now you're 15 questions in and you still don't have an answer, are you saving time? So normally not. That's what I'm saying. You need proper training on how to ask the questions in a way to get to the outcome that you're wanting quicker.
And what did you think it's the technology, or is the change management actually the bigger challenge?
I think it's just change in general. I don't think it's necessarily change management. I think it's just change because the workforce today, I mean, and it's always been this way. There's a mixture of ages, but more so today than when we were kind of growing up and just going through our careers. We have different people that have entered technology at different points. And so if you think about the older generations that's working on, I'm not picking on anybody, but they grew up in the search engine era where, you're used to asking your search engines, your Bings and your Yahoos and your Googles and all those, you're used to asking questions a very specific way so you can get to a very specific set of links that you can click on to go find your answer, right? And that's what we call a search. And then you have some of the kind of middle people like where I grew up, where we grew up in this search engine war, but yet we were in the very infancy of AI. And I don't mean GPT, I mean like Siri and Amazon, like those kind of AIs. So we grew up in that world where you don't, when you say hey, if you're on your phone and you hit hey Siri, or if you're on an Android, hey Google, all these things, we understood how we could just ask a very specific question now. So we already had a little bit of that in our minds. And then you have the generation after us that grew up right in this GPT world. And like they're just flying with it because they understand it, but they don't understand search like we do. So you have this mixture of people, and you need a level set. And that's why I'm saying like you're going to have to train people on the best way just to put in a prompt. And I'm not saying prompt engineering, that word is so overdone, but there is a way how you can, and this is any AI across the board, it doesn't matter which one you're going to use. If you ask a very question like you were in a search area, you're not going to get the answer that you're wanting. And then you're going to like, oh, well, this is useless. I'm going to go back to what I was doing.
Yeah, a little bit miss Cortana, and especially Clippy. He comes with the answer before you ask.
Yeah.
He was a great guy.
Yeah, I do miss Clippy.
How did you see when we start with adaption? Should a company start with pilot groups, or should companies deploy broadly when they roll out Copilot?
Yeah, I mean, every org's going to be slightly different. I do suggest with a smaller group. So if you're trying to prove a use case out, uh, then yeah, just start with insert department, insert HR, insert finance, insert legal, whatever, insert department here. And because then you're very use case driven when you're trying to show them the value of AI. As an example, if you're in HR, then, if you're trying to compare, we'll pick on recruiting, how can you speed up recruiting, right? You can have AI do some matching for you based on this job description. Take all these resumes that we got and stack rank them for me. I don't want you to eliminate them. I just want you to stack rank them based on what the resumes are according to the job description, because that's what they're going to do anyways. Because normally HR doesn't have all the knowledge that the technical manager is going to have if it's a tech kind of interview. And so they're just going to go and look through keywords anyway. So have AI do it. Now they're not opening up, what, 25, 30 resumes. They're having AI do it. And now they can be stack ranked. And then they can say, okay, now that we have our stack ranks, look through these again. Is there anything that doesn't necessarily match our job description, but is something that I need to call out? Because you want to be fair to the candidates as well. So you don't want to just take that first stab. Like maybe somebody has a doctorate as an example, and that might rank them in their heads a little bit better. So they need to kind of put all those parameters in there. And that's what I'm talking about with the training. We need to show them how to do all things, but they can get to this endpoint a lot quicker versus reading 25 resumes that would take them normally, a little while to do, versus AI could do it. And now they're one step closer. And then, you can have all the HR notes, and then you can have the resumes, and then you can have the manager notes. And again, you can have AI come in and do another analysis for you. So, I mean, it's just helping you get to the endpoint quicker. And it's just an example.
Yeah, yeah. I see. What's interesting, at the start, it was, I don't know, these talent match systems are working with vector search, and you have exactly put in the keywords. And when I
Hmm.
write, okay, company looks something for RPC technology, and have the gRPC, JSON RPC, XML RPC, or
Yeah.
Apache Drive, and all these keywords to get filled in. I think that's something what AI can really good do, understand the context
Hmm.
also, and not only the keywords.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah. So that's if
um,
you go the department route. I mean, but then there's the other way too. There's another pilot you can do, and we call it here at Microsoft. When I was on the partner side, I called it something differently because it was my own kind of framework. But we call it the Champions program, where you
yeah,
pick people that you feel like will adopt it and that are hungry and that want to use it in each department. And then we do a training for them, just a little bit more generalized because it's going to not be very specific to their day to day, but you do a little bit more generalized. And then you set it up in a way where maybe this person in sales has this prompt and it got them exactly what they needed. So you give them a scenario where they can share that prompt, Teams chat, a loop space, whatever, to everybody. And then you have weekly meetings. Hey, what's one thing that you took away this week that really helped you or really saved time? Now, sales is going to be different than HR, and it's going to be different than finance. I get that, but they're all in the same company and same industry. So there's going to be something that they do that's like, oh, well, if Jason over here did this, I understand what he did because I know what he does because he works at this company. Let me try to formulate that a little bit into what I do for this organization. And so it's one of those sharing is caring type scenarios where you're feeding all this stuff in, and now you're naturally creating champions. And when you go for a wider rollout, you have those champions in the departments that are basically, waving your flag as well.
and I found this champion program. I think it's a really good idea, and I think also I'm really impressed, actually, skills. a lot of skills. So I can have my own, I don't know, project management expert, and say, okay, we do project management like agile, the other do it. But I think that's, and I think, yeah, also to bring all this technology and see there can they play a huge role. I think that's it's really good for companies, and I think that's one of the mistakes companies do. It's, yeah, um, hope it works. I don't know. They say, here you have the software or the Copilot or Copilot Studio, or sometimes I see also companies, they give anyone access to AI Foundry.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, yeah, when we talk about all these tools, Copilot, Copilot Studio, and AI Foundry, um, what different roles did they play?
So one of the way I tend to tell people on this, because so there's two versions of Studio, right? There's it used to be called Copilot Studio Lite, now it's called Agent Builder, but they can do that right inside Copilot. You don't need this low code type uh, mindset, I guess you could say. You don't have to understand topics. You don't have to understand workflows. You can just basically open up this instruction module and tell the agent what you need to do it. So it's a good entry point into agents. Once they understand how instructions work, because when you get into Studio, you can do so much, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because if you're overwhelmed and you don't know what you're doing, you could do, when I say damage, you could accidentally do something that just gobbles up tokens, and now it's expensive. So Studio and agents, I personally feel like you definitely need to do a crawl, walk, run kind of method on that. So make sure that they understand the different models, make sure they understand how instructions work, how that if you throw too many knowledge sources in versus precise knowledge sources in, you could get, the more that's in there, right, you could get contradictions, especially if it's internal data, because you could have the old problem that we still have everywhere, where you have rot, right? You can have outdated files that nobody's updated, but you added this into a source, and that's going to contradict with the new source. And now you're going to say, well, this agent isn't great. No, the agent's fine. It's the knowledge that you're pointing to it. So it's more, you need to understand the holistic thing of everything that you're wanting the agent to do. What's the clear goal of the agent, and how, if you were a human, how would you accomplish that goal? What files would you look into? Like, that if it's a file that's 10 years old, probably not one you need to look at. So why did you include it in the knowledge sources? That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to, that crawl, walk, run, because they need to understand the mentality on those, and you can easily solve that by putting in the instructions. Hey, if this modified date is over X amount of months, years old, it's not relevant.
Mm,
It's an easy line that you can throw in the instructions.
mm. There was when I think about adoption, there was, yeah, I think there was a little bit problems with measure success. So some
Hmm.
companies start with, oh, you have a, I don't know, a level where you where are the people are ranked on first, they overspend the most tokens. So
Hmm.
what are good, yeah, how to measure a rollout, and what KPIs think you actually matter for Copilot adoption?
For Copilot itself, it's actually how. So there's two things. You can see how much they're using it, and that's going to not 100% correlate, but if they're using it, then you'll see, are they more productive? And I know that's like a very subjective thing that you can look at here, but people that are not using it versus using it, there's going to be a huge difference in how they go out throughout their day. When people use AI, are they happier? And what I mean by that, because one thing about Copilot that I think is great is it gets you your 5 to 9 back. And what I mean by that is, you're no longer like stop your day at 5, like no, your calendar's blocked, but you're still working for another hour, 2 hours, catching up on emails, catching up on projects, catching up on whatever, just so you can start the next day on time. AI, specifically Copilot, in my opinion, helps you stay on top of tasks a lot quicker. So if you get your 5 to 9 back, meaning your personal time, your family time back, what does that do for you? That makes you happier as an employee, and your churn starts to go away. Because if you have employees that are happy in what they do on their day to day, and they have this fantastic work life balance because they now have a tool that can give them this work life balance, you're not going to have as much churn, and you're going to end up going from this mode where you're just trying to get through the day to really churning through your day and making it a very successful and productive day. And I like to call that, you're going from surviving to thriving.
Mm, yeah. And what there or is there any Copilot feature you say that's still underrated actually?
Oh, that's underrated. That's a good question. Copilot itself, oh man, I would say if I had to pick one, because if you would ask me this like 6 months ago, there was inside the applications needed work. When I say inside, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, it did okay. We have come leaps and bounds. The product team has listened to all the feedback, specifically in PowerPoint. I mean, PowerPoint's pretty solid now, what you can do. But to answer the question, I would probably say everything you can do inside Outlook. I mean, people just scratch the surface on what you can do with Copilot in Outlook. I mean, you can set custom instructions if you're in sales, like if you're really targeting a very specific client, as an example, you can say anytime that you can go in custom instructions and say, hey, client XYZ is going to be priority no matter what. So anytime I ask you this question to prioritize or summarize my inbox, they always need to be called out if I accidentally missed an email, right? As an example. So people are not doing that. And it's easily you can go in and change those things, but there's so much you can do inside Copilot and Outlook. I mean, when I do the trainings, um, I always try to gear my trainings for organizations around their industry, like where they work and how they work. I don't want to do general because you can just go out online and get general training. So I try to give them tips and tricks for that. And me myself, I have to pull back all the examples that I want to show them because I only have so much time in my training because there's just so much you can do with it.
And is there some, yeah, or is there, yeah, a new capability that impressed you most?
In Copilot in general, or in
Yeah.
my underrated one?
No, no, in general.
Uh, so, hmm, that impressed me. I mean, all the work the product group has done inside PowerPoint, I think how you can ease of use to pull brand kits in now. So when you're having it create um, a PowerPoint from whatever, whether it's just going out and getting information from the web, or if it's doing it from documents internally, um, the ability to have a usable PowerPoint extremely quick. You talk about if you're somebody that creates a lot of slides, that is a huge benefit on being able to get those things done. It's no longer I have to have a focus block for 2 hours to try to refine this. It's 3 prompts, 2 reviews. We're talking 15 minutes, and I'm done. I think that's pretty cool. Now, cowork. I don't want to not give cowork its dues. I think cowork is really cool, but there's also things you can do inside cowork that you don't need cowork for, as long as you know how to use the product, like with agents and just general prompting itself. But if you actually use cowork why it was developed, cowork it's slick, man. It can do some really cool things.
And yeah, when we talk about prompts, what, yeah, or which prompts consistently produce great results and which prompts should people avoid?
The one that so if you go to any kind of Microsoft training, we have a framework: goal, context, source, and expectation. I think the biggest one that gets people closer, I mean, you're always going to have a goal, right? Because you're always going to have a question. Your question is always going to be your goal. Um, I've found that if you give it the context on why you're needing it, you are getting a lot closer to that final output. I'm not saying that they're not all important, but if you can say why, like, so the goal is either going to be the what or the how or the, you know, those, that's, no, the how is the expectation, sorry, the what or the why of this goal, or sorry, the what of the goal. The context is why you need it.
Mm.
So if you, when you ask your questions, why are you asking it to summarize your email? Why are you asking it to create this PowerPoint? Why are you creating this pivot table? So if you throw that why in there, you're going to get immediate results that are better than it was before.
Okay. I talk a lot of with a lot of companies. They have there's one topic in adoption. It's security,
Mhm.
and they say, oh, it's so unsafe. Use AI or especially Copilot in my part. What should organize understand before they deploy Copilot?
So the one thing about Copilot, there's two things that they need to understand. Your data is always your data. Copilot is never, Microsoft and Copilot are never going to do anything with your data to train. We do not do that. You can read every single thing that we put out there. We do not use your data to train. Even when we go to sub-processors, we are sending the prompt, and it's encrypted in a way, and the agreements that we have with the sub-processors is that they cannot use our prompts as well for training materials. So our stuff is going to be, your data is your data. It's going to be protected, so you don't have to worry about that. So that goes back to the early on example that I always use, and I don't want to call anybody out specifically on what they did or did not do, but there was a major manufacturer that does a lot of electronics. They had some developers that were trying to debug some source code. And this was early on in the GPT world, like early on in the GPT world. And nobody knew what that meant. And so they threw the source code out there, and now it's public domain. Microsoft is not going to do that. Everything is protected. And another thing about Copilot, so that's the first thing, that's just organization wide. The second thing is the way how Microsoft builds everything with the SFI, the Security First Initiative, that if you have access to something, so does your Copilot. But on the flip side of that, if you do not have access to something, neither does your Copilot. So it's going to respect the permissions of the user that's using it. And I think those are two big security features that we have inside of our product that a lot of other platforms or providers out there do not.
Um, I think a little bit what I often hear or often get asked, it's can Copilot expose poor governance? And I say, okay, when you ask this question, you have to look at your governance. But is it possible?
Everybody's term of governance is going to be different. So if you don't have proper permissioning, so like what I just said, if you have access to something, so does your Copilot. So if you have copied a user that's from another user, from another user, from another user, that's poor governance just in its own, right? That has nothing to do with AI. That has to do with your user. Could that user search, or could they go down like the file path to get to it? 100%. Now most aren't because that they don't have time, but can it expose poor governance? 100% it can, because it's going to respect the bounds of the permissions of the user that's using it. And if you have sloppy, hey, I'm just going to give everybody access to everything, that's on you, right? That means you're, from an organization, you're not set up in a proper way. But we have tools in place that can help you with that. So when you get Copilot, you get SharePoint Advanced Management. So if it is in SharePoint, you can say restrict this from the search queries, right? And so if all of a sudden, oh, we didn't know that we gave everybody access to this, let's just restrict it. And so now that doesn't mean that the users can't get to it. That just means AI, Copilot, can't get to it.
And what role does Purview play?
Does what? Oh, Purview. Purview is, so there's a lot of slick things that you could do inside Purview today as well. So if there's if you have specific kind of labeling set up and specific terms are considered like priority one, which, you know, high confidential, that nobody needs to talk about it. So even if they accidentally have some type of hole in their governance where people do have access to it, you can say if it's data labeled this or this kind of category, that Purview or Copilot will have a response. Hey, I see this data, but I'm not allowed to, based on rules from my organization, I'm not allowed to reason or give guidance on this. So you can do some really cool things with Purview. I mean, we don't have enough time to talk about everything you can do inside of that. I mean, you can tag it into, especially if you have Edge as the primary browser that you have for your organizations. Even when they go out to the web, you can prevent them from doing the whole copy pasta into any type of AI engine. So there's rules in there that it will prevent you from, putting it in name your AI provider, right? So you can do things like that as well.
Yeah, two other tools are often show up with Copilot and security. It's Entra ID and Defender. Which role do both tools play?
So Entra is going to play more of a role than it does now, especially with Agent 365 coming out, because it's going to be extremely tied to the Entra stack. So that's going to help tremendously. More to come on that because it just went GA. We're just on release 1. I think we're still on release 1. Release 2 is coming out soon. But as that product gets more mature, what you're going to be able to do inside, just from the agent ecosystem with Agent 365, it's all going to be dependent on Entra. So make sure that the groups are controlled that way. But today, you can take Agent 365 out of it and just Copilot Studio. Entra is huge inside of that. You can give controlling access and who can do what, from creating to publishing to sharing to which models you want them to have access to. So if you're wary of which models people are going to use and you're concerned over token usage, then you can control that with Entra groups today. So I mean, Entra is going to be the key point to it. From a Defender standpoint, that's another big topic too. I think the biggest one that I really like that's inside Defender is, if you remember, we used to have a problem with shadow IT. Not that we don't still have it, but most people have become aware of shadow IT, and they have a general idea of what the organization's using and what they're not using with the tools that we have out there today. Now you have shadow AI or BYOAI, and Defender, the Defender platform can help you from that aspect as well. That if you're on, a company device, you're not allowed to use an AI source that has a low rating, and the ratings depend on a lot of different things out there. So if you don't want them to use one that's under, we'll just pick a random number, 7 as an example, you can block them. And so you can start getting a handle on the whole BYOAI.
Yeah, what I often see when talk about security, there are companies that are really, they really fear this topic, and the others say, oh, we have pay all this Microsoft products, they do it for us. So I think that's often something, companies will. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not a judge, but
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, there's lots of tools out there. There are some really good companies that will just do one portion of the whole kind of journey. And I'm not saying that they're not good. That's not what I'm saying. What I will say though is the way how Microsoft has been able to piece everything together into a platform where you don't have to worry about the integrations or the plugins or the API calls into everything. It's like, I'm going to use this security tool, but now I need to connect it into the tenant so it can govern. You don't have to worry about all that. Everything is inside the tenant. And from a management perspective, and even a governance perspective, it takes the effort and all the knowledge that you need, because we've pieced it all together for you inside the platform. So I feel like we've made it, while there's a lot of tools, we make it as simple as it can be.
and I often see one thing. I don't know really what it mean. There it's on on laptops. It's on software. It's called Copilot Ready or Copilot Readiness. What does it mean?
Yeah, that's one of those terms that I don't necessarily, this is a me thing, not a Microsoft thing. This is, I don't like that term. But I mean, Copilot Readiness is going to be more about how are you, is your sharing rules set properly? Do you have the correct owners on SharePoint sites as an example? Is this a site that was created and maintained and then somebody left and now it's ownerless and now you have stale data? Um, so it goes back to something we were just saying. It's only as good as the knowledge that it's going against. So if your internal data isn't kept up to date, then yeah, it's not going to be good because it's using that as the source. So I mean, just making sure some of your protected settings are out there. And there's actually something that came out, oh, how long ago was it? It was a few months ago, but baseline security mode. It's a set of guidelines that you can set inside different portals, being Entra, being Defender, being SharePoint, that it says, here's where your baseline needs to be. Are your settings here? And if so, that's going to get you even closer to readiness as an example. But every organization's readiness is going to be different. But I would highly encourage you to go out there and look at baseline security mode and make sure that those are set up.
And there are also another, yeah, I think, yeah, buzzword. I don't know if it's a buzzword, but okay, I have this PC here. It's, I don't know, it's a workstation. It's 5, 6, 7 years old. I also have my Copilot Plus laptop. I don't
Oh yeah.
know, on both works Copilot. And now I hear there come something new. It's, I think it's Copilot 365 or something, so a complete cloud-based solution. So, uh, what's the difference, and should I really buy all this stuff, or what's the different?
Yeah, so Copilot PC and then just the way how Copilot works. So Copilot today and will always be this way. It's cloud-based, so it works in the cloud. So you can run it on your phone, you can run it on an underpowered machine. You don't have to have a beefy machine to run Copilot because it's done in the cloud. And that's one of the benefits I think Cowork has over a lot of things is you can fire off the prompt to Cowork and let it run. Maybe it's a complicated task that you're wanting to do, and you can shut down your computer because it's running in the cloud. Where the other ones that are doing this co-work type capability, they require things to be on and is doing it on your computer. So where Copilot PC comes into play is we are starting to do a mixed mode of computer use and cloud use. So Copilot PC is going to put the required software and make sure you have the required hardware to do some of these intensive LLM type tasks on the local machine, so you're not having to do it in the cloud. So because you're not always connected to the cloud if you're on an airplane as an example and you need to do things. So Copilot PC is going to give you those controls to do certain things locally instead of in the cloud, and that's what that's for. But just, I mean, Copilot is that, right? It's in the cloud. It's you're in your tenant, so it's always has that protection. Um, and it's never meant to do your work for you. It's meant to accelerate and assist you in doing your work. And that's what I want people to always understand here with Copilot is it's not that magic bullet, but we are working with things and how can we embed it inside the OS, being Windows, and that's that Copilot PC that you're talking about.
Okay, okay. Um, so what did you think will how will Copilot evolve in the next few months, years?
So I mean, if you kept up with build, I mean, Scout's going to be really slick, but it's one of those things. It's still fairly new. It's just in Frontier. You do need GitHub licensing as well with this for it to work. But I mean, we've played around with it because we get internal access to it. It is pretty slick because it's using more of the open claw type scenarios and what it can do and what it can create, especially if you say, hey, create me this dashboard. Take all this data and I want you to create me a dashboard so I can easily see this data at a glance.
Mm.
I mean, that's significant work that it's having to do when you're saying a dashboard, right? This is like an HTML that's pulling in things, or a Power BI that's pulling all these connections. It's really advanced stuff that it's doing. And the output at it already in just the Frontier release is quite amazing, to be honest. It's impressive. So I think you're going to really start seeing some, uh, instead of, I don't want to call it a novelty,
Yeah.
but where people are actually using AI to get multi-step processes.
Mm.
And when I say multi, I mean complex multi-step processes, and actually getting tangible assets out of that. Not saying that you can't do that today with, Studio and all this stuff, especially if you know the pla- uh, the Power Platform, so you can use some of the workflows and the agent flows, and all the things that are at your disposal inside Power Plat. But that's a limited population. Scout
Mm.
brings that to everybody.
So these scouts makes, I think, when I understand it right, it's make uh, MCP accessible to all people.
Yep, it does.
Okay. Okay. Um, so so some personal questions. Um, what's your favorite Microsoft product beside Copilot?
Ooh, uh, I would probably go with Loop,
Hmm.
Microsoft
Yeah.
Loop. It took, so when Microsoft came up with the idea that you could collaborate inside of a document with Word, and you could see the edits that other people are making, or in PowerPoint, you could be working on a slide and your coworker could be working on the same slide, and you could see that stuff working inside the canvas, but you had to be inside the application for it to do it. Loop takes it to the next level, where you can just have this whole brainstorming session, and you can see people working in real time, and you can pull people in on just certain components, where before in PowerPoint, if I just wanted, hey, Kevin, I just want you to update slide 16, I still had to give him update to the whole deck. And inside Loop, I can say, hey, Kevin, here's the component I need you to work on. So I can pull everything together. So from a collaboration and also security standpoint, all together, Loop brings that all pretty tightly in a product that is very underrated. I don't think people understand the power that Loop can do.
I have a look a little bit into the LinkedIn Open Graph data, and I think we have one keyword that's coming up was prompt engineering, and now yeah, it's not in when we look at the
Yeah, it's
job
prompt
offers.
crafting is what we call
And,
it, or prompt framework. Those are the terms we use now.
and is it still available skill, or why is it uh, leaving all the job application job descriptions?
Oh, you mean, you're talking about the prompt lab, is what you're talking about, right?
Uh,
How they just renamed the prompt gallery to the prompt lab and all that stuff, and the redesign. Is that what
mhm.
you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I liked the old revision of prompt gallery, where you could search by job description. So you can say, hey, I'm an exec. What's are some good prompts that can get me started? I thought that was really cool how they organized them. You can, it's a free-form search in there, so you can use the free-form search, but it's not intuitive. But I do like how they put all the categories out there, where if you're just trying to create something, here's a good orchestration of create prompts for you. But what's coming, and this is already on the roadmap, is organizations can load organizational prompts inside Prompt Lab as well now. So if it's going to be some prompts that have been curated for your organization by whoever, that can now easily be shared via the Prompt Lab as well.
If your boss Satya Nadella comes to you and say, "Hey, Chris, you get all the money, the resources, and so on for developed a Copilot feature," what will it be?
Ooh, great question. Oh man. Whew. Oh man, I am not prepared to answer that one. Let's see. Oh, I think, and this is coming too, but this, hmm, Yeah, I'll go with this one for right now because this is kind of on the spot asking about it. We see this today inside chat. You can do this in Copilot chat where you can have a one-to-one voice conversation. Uh, I would like the voice one-to-one to come, like when I say voice one, this is not talk to text. This is not me talking and it's writing the text in the prompt. I'm talking to Copilot and Copilot is coming across in my speakers or my headset that I'm using. And so it's a true on natural language conversation. I would like to have that turned into a, more of a collaborative where I could have other people on the team as well as Copilot. So it's more Copilot is brought into a group conversation, but in an audible way, because I mean, when you're typing, sometimes you lose certain things. It's the whole thing is like you can't tell tone in text, right? But you can tell tone when you're talking. So I think if you could have a multi-person collaboration type voice chat with AI, I think that would be really slick, especially from a team aspect when you're having like brainstorm ideas or whiteboarding sessions and you have that AI uh, kind of idea there with you to not necessarily fact check, but to help accelerate those sessions. I think that would be really cool. All right, that
Yeah.
was a great question, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. I make a quick fire round. So I'm give you a short question, and you say what's come on your mind. So
Okay.
dark mode or light mode?
Oh, dark mode.
Um, one Copilot feature everyone should try today.
Uh, prioritize my inbox and Outlook.
Write one perfect prompt or iterate until it's perfect.
Ooh, I don't think there's a such thing as a perfect prompt, so iteration, but start with as best as you can. That's a good one too. I like that one. That's a really good one.
If Microsoft gave you one extra product team to work on, which would it you choose?
Ooh, as far as Copilot concerns, I would like to work with the connector team.
Um, Finish the sentence. The future of work is
Just getting started.
um, one AI myth you like to bust.
I've said it once. It's not a miracle worker.
um, Teams or Outlook?
Ooh, personally Teams, but Outlook I don't think is going away. But personally Teams.
um, what's it's more important, clean data or good prompts?
Clean data.
Um, you're a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, morning, 100%.
Podcast or YouTube?
Podcast, I would rather listen.
Yeah. So thank you for this great session. So yeah, then my closing question is um, yeah, if what did you see or what's exciting you about the next 12 months? What yeah, what did you think? What coming? What are you most excited about?
I would say right now would probably be um, scout what you can do inside the open cloud models, what's coming out in that. I know it's super early and I get that, but what it's going to be able to do and create more the latter, what it's going to be able to create is going to be tenfold, if not morefold, than what you can do today.
Yeah, then yeah, Chris, thank you so much for joining me today. It was fantastic hearing your insights into Microsoft Copilot, adaptation strategies, and yeah, the future of AI-powered work. Yeah, so thank you, and I hope we have in a year or earlier another session and
Yeah.
looks what's happened there. And so yeah, also all links from Chris Hinch you find in the show notes. And yeah, so the last words are yours.
Yeah, just give it a chance. And if you haven't, if you used it in the past and you weren't happy with it, this is the fastest growing product ever. So go out and give it a try because I think you will be impressed.
Thank you. Bye.